Just before we dive into the story, can you please tell us where you are watching from? Now we go into the story properly. Office lights flickered as the last elevator groaned to a stop. Adrian Walker moved silently through the hallways, the polished marble reflecting his tall, lean frame. No one should be here at this hour, yet he felt oddly alive in the solitude, the hum of the AC and distant city noise like a private orchestra. He tugged the janitor's overalls over his tailored suit, hiding his identity beneath the dull fabric that smelled faintly of bleach. The CEO of Walker Enterprises, billionaire, untouchable. And right now, just another night custodian. A soft sound made him freeze. Somewhere near the lobby, footsteps echoed, not the quick clatter of a cleaning crew, but slow, deliberate, heavy. Adrian ducked behind the large potted plant, heart thudding. He peered through the shadows and saw her. Grace Brooks, young, ambitious, the intern who had stayed behind tonight to finish some presentation for the board. Her heels clicked against the marble, and she muttered under her breath about deadlines, unaware of him. Adrian's pulse quickened, not because of fear, but because the delicate balance of his secret world was about to collapse. "What is that man doing here at this hour?" Grace whispered to herself, her curiosity sharper than any blade. She took a hesitant step closer, phone in hand. Adrian's eyes narrowed. One misstep, and his entire carefully guarded secret could unravel. He ducked further, shoving the mop handle against the wall to steady himself. Grace's gaze swept across the floor, and Adrian could almost feel her suspicions forming. She bent down to pick up a fallen pen, her movements slow, deliberate, and he could see the worry line between her brows. "I need to finish this report," she muttered, clearly talking to herself, but loud enough that the words reached him. Adrian's lips twitched. A report, yes, but the one she would never know could expose more than just numbers. It could expose him. He emerged from the shadows, mop in hand, pretending to be the harmless janitor he had perfected to the smallest detail. His voice, calm but firm, broke the silence. "Can I help you, Miss Brooks?" Grace jumped, almost dropping her phone. She looked up, eyes wide, scanning the man in the overalls. Yes, I was just," she faltered, unsure of what to say. I didn't know anyone else was still here." Adrian nodded slowly, keeping his tone neutral. "I work nights sometimes, helps me think." He could hear her inhale sharply. You clean here?" Her voice carried a mixture of disbelief and something else, something that made Adrian's chest tighten. She studied him, as if trying to reconcile the image of the tall, commanding janitor with the CEO she saw in boardrooms during the day. Adrian's mind raced. She could ruin everything with a single word. He needed to gauge her, see how much she suspected. "Yes, nights are quiet, good for concentration." Grace nodded, hesitant, still holding the pen like a lifeline. "I see, quiet," her voice trailed. She looked away, fiddling with her phone, and Adrian let out a small, silent sigh of relief. For now, she didn't know. But secrets like his rarely stayed hidden. Later that night, as Adrian finished the last hallway, cleaning each tile meticulously, he replayed her curious gaze over and over in his mind. Something about her wasn't like the others. Most employees either ignored him completely or assumed he was just another temporary worker. Grace, she noticed. The next morning, the office was alive with gossip. Whispers about the mysterious night janitor had already reached the lower floors. Adrian walked into the lobby, crisp suit replacing the overalls, and everyone immediately straightened, the usual mixture of fear and admiration filling the air. Grace approached him cautiously, trying to suppress the tension she felt. "Mr. Walker, can I ask you something?" Adrian's eyes met hers, calm and unreadable. "Of course." She hesitated. "Last night, did you see someone cleaning the lobby?" Adrian's lips twitched in a subtle smirk. "I didn't see anyone, perhaps you imagined it." Her eyes narrowed. "I don't imagine things, sir." He nodded slowly, keeping his voice steady. "Good, keep it that way. Some things are best left unknown." The words were soft, but the weight behind them was anything but. Grace blinked, sensing the edge, the warning. Adrian moved on, leaving her with her thoughts, questions that had no answers yet. Later that evening, Adrian walked alone in the same dimly lit hallway. He was no longer just a janitor. He was Adrian Walker, billionaire CEO, walking in two worlds that should never intersect. The files in his briefcase weren't just financial projections, they were evidence. Evidence that could bring down the people who had caused his father's death years ago, people who had thought wealth could erase guilt. His phone buzzed. A message from Michael Reed, his COO, "Board meeting tomorrow, urgent, come prepared, trust no one." Adrian's jaw tightened. Michael knew something, or at least suspected, and that meant every step had to be precise, calculated. Adrian changed quickly, slipping into his suit and leaving the overalls folded neatly behind the plant. He couldn't risk anyone seeing him like that, even Grace. Not yet. The city lights gleamed outside the office windows, bright against the dark Lagos night. Somewhere out there, someone would try to exploit his secret, and Adrian intended to stop them before that could happen. Meanwhile, Grace stayed late again, determined to uncover the truth. She had questions that kept her awake. Who was the janitor? Why did he seem familiar? And why did a part of her want to trust him, even though she had every reason not to? Hours passed, the building emptied, and the silence returned. Adrian emerged again in his disguise, mop in hand, sweeping in silence. Every movement was calculated, every sound minimized. Yet he couldn't shake the feeling that tonight, something would happen, something that could unravel everything. Suddenly, a soft cough echoed from the far end of the lobby. Adrian froze, his heart raced. Someone was here, not Grace. This was different. Adrian crouched behind the reception desk, eyes darting through the shadows. A figure approached, hood up, hesitant steps echoing. Adrian's hand tightened around the mop handle. "Who's there?" he called softly, his voice controlled but sharp. The figure froze, then stepped into the light. Adrian's eyes widened slightly, recognition flickering. Leo Adams, the young janitor, a promising yet overlooked employee, stood before him. You shouldn't be here," Adrian said quietly, his voice low. Leo swallowed, nerves obvious, but met Adrian's gaze. I needed to finish my shift, didn't want anyone to see me slack off." Adrian stuttered him. "Or did you come looking for something?" Leo shook his head quickly. But the tension in his eyes betrayed him. Adrian made a decision. He stepped out fully, removing the mop from his hand. "Listen, whatever you think you've stumbled upon, you need to forget it. This is complicated." Leo's jaw tightened. "I've seen enough, sir. You're not like them. You're not just a CEO or a janitor. He trailed off, unsure how much to say. Adrian's gaze hardened. "I'm Adrian Walker, and if you ever breathe a word of what you've seen tonight, you won't just ruin me, you'll ruin yourself." Leo nodded, swallowing hard. "I understand." Adrian watched him go, mop handle back in hand, the silence swallowing the lobby once more. He knew this was just the beginning. Grace's curiosity, Leo's discovery, Michael's scheming, every piece was part of a puzzle. And Adrian had to navigate it all carefully, or everything he had built, and the secret he had guarded for so long, would come crashing down. The next morning, the office buzzed with whispers about the mysterious night janitor again. Adrian walked past, calm, collected, hiding the storm brewing inside. Grace's gaze followed him, questions unanswered, suspicions mounting. Somewhere deep inside, Adrian smiled faintly. The game had begun, and he was ready. As he settled into his office chair, Adrian typed a quick note to himself. "Prepare for the board meeting, trust no one, protect the secret." A notification buzzed on his phone, another message from Michael. "This time, we know something is off, be careful, watch your back." Adrian leaned back, eyes narrowing. They have no idea what they're up against. He glanced at the city skyline outside his window. Lights reflected off the river, shimmering like a million tiny secrets waiting to be uncovered. And Adrian Walker, he would uncover them all. "Tonight," he whispered to himself, "I clean more than floors, I clean the past." And with that, he slipped into his overalls again, ready to face the night. If you are loving this story, can you hit the like button, comment, and subscribe? If you know this story touched your heart, hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. The next evening, the office was quiet again. Adrian Walker moved through the hallways with the ease of a shadow, mop in hand, each step calculated. He knew every tile, every corner, every camera blind spot, yet tonight felt different. There was tension in the air, a charged energy that set his nerves on edge. Grace Brooks arrived shortly after, carrying a stack of reports. She froze for a moment when she saw him. Her curiosity had not dulled. If anything, it had sharpened. She had questions, dangerous questions. "You're here again," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Adrian straightened, mop in hand. "Nights are quiet, helps me think." He paused, noting the intensity in her eyes. "And you, still curious?" Grace's lips twitched. "Always." She stepped closer. "I saw the footage in the video. You're not just a janitor, are you?" Adrian's jaw tightened. "You need to be careful, Grace. Some things aren't meant to be seen." "But they should be," she insisted. Her voice was firm now, emboldened by something deeper than fear. "I want to know the truth, Adrian, whoever you are, whatever you're doing." A flicker of a smile crossed his face. He had not expected this courage. Most would have run, most would have whispered the story to someone else and walked away. Grace didn't. She stayed, she watched, she waited. "Fine," he said finally, "but once you know, there's no going back." Her eyes widened slightly. "I understand." He gestured toward the janitor's closet. "Come with me." Inside, Adrian revealed files, videos, and documents, each one a piece of a puzzle, revealing the corruption that had plagued Walker Enterprises for years. Adrian's father had died in a chemical spill orchestrated to cover up embezzlement. Now Adrian had the proof, but it wasn't just about exposing the criminals. It was about justice, about righting wrongs that had been ignored for too long. Grace listened, eyes wide, absorbing every detail. She had always admired Adrian as a CEO, but seeing him now, vulnerable, driven, dangerous, changed something inside her. She felt both fear and respect. "Why tell me this?" she asked softly. "Because you're the only one I trust," Adrian said, "and because I need your help." Their alliance formed silently, yet with the weight of inevitability. Outside, the city hummed with life, oblivious to the storm brewing inside the walls of Walker Enterprises. Over the next few nights, they worked together, compiling evidence, documenting every misstep of Michael Reed and his accomplices. Every encounter with security was tense. Every moment could blow their cover. "You know they're watching," Grace said one night, eyes scanning the dark hallway. "I know," Adrian replied. "That's why we move carefully, step by step. One mistake and everything, my life, your career, the truth, disappears." Grace swallowed, the adrenaline coursing through her. "I don't care, I'll risk it." Adrian's eyes softened briefly, a flicker of admiration breaking through the stern exterior he wore for the world. "Good, you're braver than most." But the board was restless. Michael Reed had noticed discrepancies, unauthorized access to files, and the mysterious leaks. Clara Brown, Adrian's ex, had returned to the company under the guise of reconciliation. Her eyes always lingered on him longer than necessary, a subtle threat wrapped in silk and perfume. The tension escalated when a video of Adrian cleaning surfaced online, blurry but unmistakably his silhouette. The internet exploded. Cleaning CEO trended worldwide. Investors panicked. The press speculated. Grace watched in disbelief as the world she knew, the professional respect she had for Adrian, collided with the reality of this secret life. "He's insane," one executive whispered, "or brilliant, or both." Adrian ignored them. He focused on the evidence, on justice. Fame or humiliation meant nothing. The truth mattered most. Grace approached him later that night. "They're going to fire you," she said quietly. He didn't flinch. "Let them. I have bigger problems than boardroom politics. People are depending on me. I won't fail them." A week passed, each night a calculated dance of secrecy and courage. Then came the night that changed everything. Michael Reed discovered their secret. Detective Harris, long complicit in covering up crimes, was on their trail. Leo Adams had grown too curious and was caught snooping, resulting in a confrontation that nearly ended in violence. Adrian's heart pounded as he navigated the office, mop in hand, shadows as allies. Every corner held danger. Every creaking floorboard could betray him. Suddenly, a voice hissed from behind a stack of boxes. "I know what you're doing." Adrian froze, eyes darting. It was Leo, his young ally, wide-eyed and trembling. I won't tell anyone," Leo said quickly, hands raised. I wanted to help." Adrian stepped forward, carefully lowering the mop. "Then help me properly, follow instructions, no mistakes." "Yes, sir," Leo whispered. Days later, Grace confronted Adrian again. "You can't keep doing this alone," she said. "It's too dangerous." "I know," Adrian admitted. "That's why you're here. You're my conscience, my eyes, my ears. Without you," he didn't finish. The words were unnecessary, she understood. They worked through the night, evidence accumulating, a plan forming. They had enough to expose Michael, Harris, and even the complicity of some board members. It was a delicate balance. One wrong move could destroy everything. The night of the big reveal, Adrian and Grace infiltrated the boardroom after hours. Security systems were bypassed, cameras manipulated. The evidence was projected on the screen, videos, emails, financial statements, all undeniable proof of corruption. Michael and Harris arrived unexpectedly, smug and confident. "Well, Adrian," Michael said, voice dripping with mockery, "or should I say janitor?" Adrian didn't flinch. "It's Adrian Walker," he said firmly, "and tonight justice will be served." Chaos erupted. Harris lunged, but Grace pressed a button on a hidden device, locking the doors electronically. Security alarms blared. Michael tried to grab a file, but Adrian intercepted, holding him off. Leo, waiting nearby, called the authorities, and police sirens sounded in the distance. The confrontation was tense, every second a life-or-death gamble. Finally, police stormed the building. Harris and Michael were arrested, Clara's manipulations exposed, and Walker Enterprises was safe, at least for now. Adrian leaned against the boardroom table, breathing heavily. Grace approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You did it," she whispered. "We did it," he corrected, voice soft but firm. "Together." The next morning, the city buzzed with news of the exposé. The story of the cleaning CEO went viral. Public opinion swung dramatically, admiration and awe replacing ridicule. Adrian, now publicly recognized for both his brilliance and courage, walked the halls of Walker Enterprises with a quiet confidence. He paused in the lobby, observing the janitors going about their duties. One of them caught his eye, young, determined, unaware of the legacy unfolding around them. Adrian smiled faintly. "This is for all of you," he murmured. Later, Grace posted an article online detailing the secret life of Adrian Walker and the corruption he had unearthed. She ended it with a call to action for justice and transparency. Adrian watched the views skyrocket, readers commenting, sharing, subscribing. "Looks like your secret's out," Grace said, a teasing smile on her lips. "I suppose," Adrian replied, smirking. "But some secrets," he added, voice dropping slightly, "are meant to inspire." He turned toward the city's skyline. Lights shimmered like the promises of tomorrow, endless and bright. He had faced danger, betrayal, and humiliation. He had risked everything, and he had emerged not just victorious, but transformed. Adrian's phone buzzed. Another comment on Grace's post. "Incredible story. Subscribe to see the next chapter." He chuckled. "They want more." Grace laughed softly. "They'll get it, and they'll be watching every move." Adrian nodded. "Good, let them watch. Because the next time someone tries to hide the truth, they'll see what happens when courage meets determination." As he left the office, Adrian looked back one last time. The lobby gleamed under the morning sun, polished and clean. Yet he knew, no matter how pristine it looked, the shadows held stories waiting to be told, and he would be there to uncover them. He glanced at Grace, who followed with a stack of new reports, determination written across her face. "Ready for the next challenge?" he asked. "Always," she said. Together, they walked out into the bustling streets of Lagos, ready to face whatever came next. If this story touched your heart, comment "We want part 2."